The story I'm about to tell you happened to me in real life. I was always taught by my parents to never touch my phone while I was driving, and it should be given to anyone with a license or not. However, I decided to go against that one day and replied to a text from my crush while I was driving on the 125, and I thought it was going to be a one-time thing. But that one time became two times, three times, and ultimately it became multiple times. And thinking that I got away with it so much that I thought I was invincible, thinking I wouldn't collide with anybody or have a single collision accident. But it turns out on January 10th of 2020, that would change my mind because instead of making a successful left turn, I hit a curb so hard because I was speeding and texting that I ended up jacking up my front axle and busting my rim on the driver's side. And I'm telling this story because I don't want others to be in a similar situation that I was in due to distracted driving. And although I may be a statistic now of teenagers who are new drivers getting into these kinds of accidents, many adults are just as guilty as us for driving distracted, whether it's on the phone, reading a book, or touching the radio. With all that being said, drivers should pay their undivided attention to the road rather than getting sidetracked with other tasks at hand. Despite this being a given, many people still multitask while they drive. According to a statistic by NHTSA in 2015, in their report, over 90% of car accidents are the fault of the drivers. And these accidents typically were caused by recognition error, aka inattention, and phone usage correlating to recognition error. The solution to this is to pay attention on the road, only using the steering wheel, transmission, foot pedals, and your eyes for the road only. It's highly advised as well by driving instructors around the world to always pay attention to the road, but even then, when people get their license, they get sidetracked, use their hands-free devices, and get distracted out of habit or out of temptation to do so. And because of this, many people are at fault in car accidents. In a 2003 study conducted by David L. Strayer, Frank A. Drews, and William A. Johnston, they observed their participants who seen other people using cell phones while driving, but at the same time, they weren't assessing the fact that they were doing the same thing and that their driving ability was just as impaired as the people they saw around them. And these participants have shown overconfidence in their driving ability, which is a very erratic to say the least. Adding on to that point, with the overconfidence they have, they tend to forget that at one point they would have to face the consequences of distracted driving, whether it be by the law or getting into an accident themselves. Distracted driving is a big issue in the motor world and is mainly caused by phone usage. There are many ways one can get distracted by driving, but the main way is through one's phone usage. Cell phone calls are said to be just as bad as drunk driving. They say this due to observations made by the same scientists in 2003 describing the patient's driving behavior as erratic. These behaviors can be compared to that of drunk driving due to the fact that those who are using their phones and driving at the same time have impaired reaction times like a drunk driver would, as opposed to someone who is actually paying 100% attention to the road. And if talking on the phone wasn't bad enough, texting is slightly worse. But when I say slightly worse, I mean it's the worst kind of distraction you can get yourself into by using a cell phone. Because you're giving yourself undivided attention looking at your phone like this without looking at the road. So you have to look back and forth in between the road and your phone, but you're using 100% when you look at your phone. And a solution to this would be it's very simple. Don't touch your phone or anything else around you. But if anything, you need to just touch your your foot pedals, transmission, and steering wheel. And if you really have to, use your phone beforehand and get situated before you take off. And if you're not capable of self-control between the phone use and driving, then don't drive. In short, drivers should pay 100% attention when driving and not get distracted by their phones and everything around them. And despite this being common sense, it's still a problem with many people who choose to use their phones while they drive. Restating the statistic from NHTSA, over 90% of car accidents are at fault, and they're mainly caused by phone use and miscellaneous tasks being done while driving. And the best solution is to only use your car's mechanics and use your eyes to ensure your safety. If the evidence provided did not deter you from using your phone while driving, remember that I was once ignorant to it until it happened to me. And I would like to thank you all for listening to my speech, and I hope you stay safe.